This is my first character on the new 0.61 stable branch, and this is the first time he actually got to eat something. I had a couple of quick goes on experimental before it came out on stable, and I managed to starve to death for the first time in years, also got killed by zombies. And I realised that for the first time, the number one priority after spawning is making sure you have some food and getting some basic survival tools like a knife. Overall, I think this might be the best version of DayZ we've ever seen. I think it's a really good thing that you spawn a bit hungry. It means that you have to invest and grind a bit to get them healthy. I think that the harder it is to survive in the beginning, the more work it takes to build up to a healthy character, the more valuable that character is. If it's hard to find a gun but it's easy to stay alive, or at least respawning will give you a fresh 100% healthy character, and you pretty much have an unlimited number of them, then people are just obviously going to put a lot more value on the gun. Of course, this all needs to be balanced with not making the game too frustrating for a lot of players and pushing too many people away, though I personally would like to see it get a lot harder, which wouldn't really change my playstyle too much because I put a lot more emphasis on staying alive and not respawning than most people do, so it wouldn't really change my playstyle too much. With that short rant out of the way, what this video is actually about is we're going to follow through the life of my first character on this update. I'm going to show you just about every meaningful moment, every moment that had an effect on whether I lived or died, or things that improved my chances of survival or made it worse, etc. And of course those moments that lead to violence. I'm going to break it down in a bit of detail. So let's get into it. I started in Electro, which was beautifully eerie at the time, and those lovely new gunshot sounds only added to the atmosphere, but once I had a few basic items, I left the town and started moving inland. I was lucky enough to come across a garden plot left by another player. I considered making one myself, but finding a box of cereal meant that I could now turn my attention to other things. I was pretty confident that I'd made it past that initial stage of being hungry, and I could think about longer term goals, what direction I wanted to go, what kind of gear I wanted to find. Civilian weapons aren't scarce, but their ammunition is. I've got a few rounds for the repeater, which makes me pretty happy. Upon reaching Novi Sober, I spot another player for the first time and wait for him to pass so that I can continue moving through myself. I hear gunshots from the starry tents and I see a couple of players who have probably just killed someone, and then I watch as they make their escape. They might have even killed the player I saw a few minutes ago. I decide to try my luck at the tents myself. I get up to the top of the nearby hill, which left me very exposed, but I felt that the tents themselves are quite dangerous and it's enough to justify observing from there for a short time. Then I was lucky enough to loot the tents without being shot. Seems like Novi and Starry are quite the hotspot these days, so I make a mental note to return and see if I can bag myself a bandit slash sniper slash murderer, whatever you want to call them. I hit up the VMC fully expecting to get into a gunfight, but that never happened, even though I saw some zombies from quite a distance away. As I continued to travel north, it rained and I needed to start a fire so I could warm up and dry off. I then carefully looted a couple of buildings at the northwest airfield before leaving to continue the trip to Tizzy. On the way I bumped into another player who was pretty nervous, but I did my best to put him at ease.
I'm a freshie and I've only got an axe.
I'm just not interested in killing you, man. Don't worry.
Oh, cool.
Good luck anyway. See you later.
Thanks, bro.
I checked out some of the new stuff near Tizzy, moved through Kamensk into that central northern military base, and then kept heading east until I was near the northeast airfield where I encountered wolves for the first time. Haven't seen any other players for a while, so I begin travelling back towards Starry. By the way, at this point, I estimate that I've killed around 60 infected or so. Definitely a much higher threat and presence from the zombies now. I get to Starry and see if I can move in to set up in a building to watch over the tents for anyone who might be camping it to kill other players. As I'm doing that though, I get caught in the rain again. I spot another player, hide and wait for him to leave. I'm waiting for sound and movement, but my character is getting very cold, which forces me to leave town and start a fire somewhere safe. I return and take another big risk, setting up on top of that hill overlooking the tents for a couple of minutes. A player is looting the tents, and when they finish, they start moving in my direction. I back off and let him pass through. I hear that the tents at the Northwest Airfield have changed a lot, so I go to check it out. I've never liked getting into fights in this place. It's basically a big flat rectangle with players running around the perimeter and bumping into each other along those edges. It's hard to surprise and outposition people when you're all at the same elevation around the same perimeter and so on. It always feels too random and out of my control. To get a good look at the tents, I find this spot which appears to be very dangerous because it's an obvious position for snipers to watch the tents. But I sit there for a minute watching these guys loot anyway, and it's a really bad idea. I survived that by nothing more than pure luck, but now I have a bullet wound which makes my character even more valuable in my mind. It's just another event that he survived. In fact, I wish there was a way to show other players, other people, the injuries and things that have happened to your character. Anyway, back to Novi Soba. I'm looking for something to happen. Once I'm there, I hear gunshots. I get closer to the sound, and it looks like this player I can see is being hunted. I'd like to find the attacker without exposing myself to him. Looks like he's probably just around the corner here in the trees, but if I step out directly, he'll be looking in my direction because that's the direction the player is hunting. Now it looks like I've probably been spotted by the victim himself, which will complicate things because even he might attack me now. So I back off, I get a little distance and start moving along the trees where it sounded like he was shooting from. I then see him running away, using the trees as concealment. I want to pursue him, but here it seems like he might see me if I push too hard, and that'll ruin my ambush. I also don't want to overshoot so that he sits still and I bump into him, or I might even run past him and get shot in the back. He's escaping through the open up the hill. I want to make sure that no one walks up behind me and sees me, so I walk into this little building. He's running in a straight line away from me in the open, which is very good, but I don't really know what the range is. I'll just have to guess. I'm not going to take another shot because that might help someone else pinpoint my position. The reason I took the shot in the first place, even though it was unlikely to hit, was because he was no threat to me from there, and it was a low risk on my behalf to take one shot, but sticking around after shooting will put me in danger. I then find the body of the player he killed. Unfortunate that I wasn't able to prevent it, but who knows what happened, maybe this guy deserved it. Then I sit in some trees overwatching starry tents from a new position, and shortly after that I hear some noise right behind me. Hey buddy, how's it going? Not gonna shoot you.
Oh, bro, Jesus. You can have it, bro.
No. You place it. I'm not gonna touch it. I'm not gonna tell anyone it's here. You can leave if you want. I'm not gonna shoot you though. Don't worry. There's movement again in Novi, so my plan is to catch him by surprise, sneak up, and just say hello. Hello.
What's up?
Hey, not much. How are you?
Oh yeah, I'm pretty good.
I'm just going to move around this
Great
corner
to
of the wall. What was that?
meet you. I said it's great to meet you.
Great to meet you. Have you been shot at recently by any chance?
Yeah. No, but I heard some gunshots going off in the town. Looped around and shit.
Starry or?
Have you?
Oh, there was...
No, I heard them in here.
Oh, right. I heard some shots around here about 10 minutes ago. That's the last time I heard anything.
Yeah.
Looking for snipers.
We'll do that next time. I'm gonna head off to Surrey.
Cheers. Have a good one.
See you, mate. Yeah.
Remember before how I was worried about overshooting and running into that player before? Well, that's exactly what happened here. I pushed a bit too hard, bumped into the guy face to face, and I was lucky that we didn't have a shootout. Instead, what I want to do is talk to him when he's in a compromising position, he's surprised, I have the initiative, he's a little bit confused. I want that kind of situation, not standing there on flat open ground just face to face with our guns drawn. Anyway, I survived that as well. What I want to try to do is spot a sniper who is moving into position. I want to watch for the paths that they're going to take to get set up so they can sit there and wait for their victim. So if I can see them first, I've got a target who is sitting still. So I'm going northish through those barns and Novi and then into that line of trees, and I'm going to move up towards the end of them and just wait, watch and listen. He's moved into a spot overwatching Novi. He didn't go in there to loot it, so I'm just going to assume that he's on the hunt. If I tried to take a shot from where I was just sitting, I don't have a great chance of making it. And then either he's going to bugger off or there's going to be an exchange of gunfire. And that's not ideal for me if I want to take him out. If he's got that kind of predatory mindset, he's only really going to be looking at the area where he expects his victims to be. He's just going to be watching towards the front. If you think of a deer, they've kind of got these eyes on the side of their head. They're constantly looking around, listening, watching over their shoulder. Whereas something like a hawk or any species of cat, they've got their eyes to the front and they're just locked onto the target. And I think people in this game can take on those different attitudes as well. What I'm most worried about is not him, but the possibility that he might have friends hiding up in the trees up the hill. So I'm trying to look up there as hard as I can without wasting too much time. I'm so confident that he isn't going to turn around that I'm quite happy to stand in the open uphill with a good line of sight to him. I hope that he woke up and managed to escape. I'll be taking that 308 ammo though. My character's still alive, looking pretty good. I suspect it might be quite a while before I get to play again though, and it might be a little while before I make another video. If I do, it probably won't be about DayZ for a while. These ones take quite a few hours to capture the gameplay and then to edit. Fingers crossed it isn't a long time though. Thanks for watching. See you next time.